Hello and welcome to another Writerly Witterings. And today I'm going to be talking about inks again, but today is going to be subtly different because I have no daughter director with me. So I'm going to be talking about my favourite inks out of all of the inks that we've tested recently. Now I should say I have so far covered all of the various diamine inks that I've got, which go from blues to browns to blacks to, where am I? Oh no, purples still. So I've got reviews and comparisons of a whole lot of inks up on YouTube. And for those who weren't aware, each one of the videos covers 5 to 8 different coloured inks. They're all done onto 68 gram per square inch Tomo River paper in this absolutely excellent Tomo River notepad that's produced by Goulet Pens in America. And I have to say, it's fantastic paper. There's been no bleed through, no feathering, nothing whatsoever. It has been fantastic to use. Now, the thing is, when you start putting down a whole bunch of inks, you don't necessarily know what colour Sargasso Sea is going to be. You don't know what Diamine's Midnight is going to look like. So I tried to go by the label and my own guesswork and see what each of these colours was, but didn't actually work out perfectly. But what it has done is given me a really interesting perspective on all the different shades and colours and tones that you get from these inks from Diamine. And they are fantastic, really fantastic. So what I thought I'd do today is just go through what my favourites are for each of the different colours and show you a bit of a comparison of the different inks side by side. Now, if you want to see the inks being written with and all the rest of it, within this channel, if you go back down, you'll find lots of ink comparisons. That's what I made as a heading. So it's ink comparisons, and then there's blues, there's greys, there's reds, there's everything else you could possibly imagine. So just, if you want to find out more about these inks and how they compare, go straight to those videos, you'll soon find them. And apart from that, let's get on to the inks. Well, I think the first ink I have to talk about is one of my favourites, not just because the bottle is just astonishing, but because I really, really love it. And that is the Israel Zeiblau from Ackerman Inks. It is a gorgeous, slightly greenish blue with oodles of shading, some fairly good outlining, and I just love this teal colour. It is quite glorious. But let's see what else we've got here. Diamine Twilight, Diamine Denim. I really like that denim. The misty blue is really quite a lovely flavour. The aqua blue flavour, lovely colour. The aqua blue is very, very bright. I think that's a pretty good representation. Washable blue, yep, that's nice. Bilberry I thought was quite a nice one. It's sort of slightly purple. And ASA blue was always my favourite, but I think it's been superseded by Zeiblau. Still, never mind. Never mind. If you're worried about the strange clonking noise in the background, by the way, that is a Rhodesian Ridgeback biting her claws. I hate having to cut a dog's claws because I always manage to get it a little bit too close in and make the poor pooch bleed. But with this one, she trims them for herself. Isn't that nice? I do like Sargasso Sea. I tend to like blue blacks and Prussians. I've always liked them. They've been, the Prussian blue in particular, I really, really like that indigo at the top here. That I think is a lovely looking ink. So I might be using that a bit more. If I have to use a bright ink, now Majestic Blue is incredible. I'm going to try to demonstrate this here. I don't know how easy it is to see, but the sheening on Majestic Blue is quite astonishing. It's the best sheening diamine ink, I think. I prefer Indigo. Kensington's quite nice, but again, not really. Imperial is too bright for me, it's a bit too garish. Presidential is more appealing, up at the top of the page there again. Sapphire Blue, if you were going to go for a bright colour blue, Sapphire is glorious. Although Pelikan Edelstein Sapphire Blue is that little bit sort of, what can you say? It just seems a little bit brighter. It pops off the page a little bit. The Iroshizukus, I've got Ajisai and Tsuyakusa. They don't really do it for me. They're not quite... There's a sort of pastel quality to Tsuyakusa, but I much prefer Mediterranean Blue. I think that's a nicer colour. And then I do like the turquoises and blue, Aqua Lagoon. Diamine Marine, very light coloured teal, which I think's nice. Odin Nil, I think it's a bit more subtle. I do like the shading that you get with that. Bow Blue, no, that's just too bright again. Does mean you get very good outlining, but no. The Diamine Teal is quite like the Israel Zeeblau from Ackermann, but it looks to be a little bit darker on the blue fringes. Teal is more of a greenish tinge, isn't it? Whereas the Zeeblau is much more of a blue tinge. I've seen a lot of people who claim that they're the same ink. It is blatantly obvious to me that they're totally different, even just looking at them in daylight. So I disagree with those people. Poussière de Lune, J. Urbain, is a gorgeous colour. Here we're moving on to inks that I am never going to use. Lavender, no. Majestic Purple, no. Diamine Violet, no. But Amazing Amethyst, yes, I do like that. It's got the sort of pastel tone to it, which I really, really like. The Deep Dark Purple, which is made by Diamine for Cult Pens, is a glorious colour, but it's so dark you might just as well buy yourself a black, really. You'd get a little bit of differentiation so that you get this sort of purple shading come across, but nah, it's a bit too dark for me. I'd prefer Grape, which is just a little bit paler. It's a little bit more on the sort of purple fringes than the really black level that you have there. Again, so difficult. I can't really tell whether the camera's picking up the subtleties. Merlot I really like. Claret I like as a name, but it's not a colour I'd ever use. Damson, really good, like that. Diamine's Deep Dark Red. Now this does come across as red. I do like that. The Brilliant Red is very pastel. It's a paler shade, isn't it? And I would say it's more towards the orange than actual red. Edelstein Star Ruby is glorious. Really, really nice colour. And here we get into the real reds. When they first went down, Wild Strawberry looked paler. Poppy Red looked a lot darker. Now it's actually quite difficult to see the difference. I would say that Poppy Red has slightly more red, whereas Wild Strawberry is slightly more orange. Same way as Vermilion is a pale form of Wild Strawberry, I'd say. Passion Red is remarkably similar to Poppy Red. Oh, it's amazing how these colours settle down once they've been on the page for a little while. Yuyaki from Iroshizuku is a lovely ink. I do like using that, but I only fill up one pen at a time with that, and it's normally not a pen with a huge quantity of ink in the reservoir, because I just find it's a little bit over the top, really. Crimson I think is really nice. I like that for when I'm editing. Either Crimson or Matador are the two that I really like to use on the paper then. Monaco Red I like because it's much more subtle. It's more of a brown than a red in some ways. Ruby, Red Dragon and Oxblood. Now these two, Red Dragon first, is a really nice bloody red before the blood's clotted. Ox blood is definitely when it has clotted already. Really good colours, both of them. I like using both of those. But I also absolutely adore the Syrah or Syrah, not too sure how you pronounce that. Really lovely, deep purplish red compared to others. Very nice colour, that. Then we have Twilight and Majestic Blue, which are both rather lovely. Now, Dartmoor Twilight was made for me specifically by a delightful chap called Peter Kashka, or Kashka. I'm not too sure how to pronounce your name, Peter. Apologies for that. But I think you can see the sheening on that. You can see how the colour changes from a really dark blue to a glorious red. Just fantastic, that. I'm really impressed with that. And I think if Peter was to offer that commercially, he'd have a lot of buyers. The only thing I could think of comparing it with was Diamine Majestic Blue, which does have sheening, but it's just not in the same league. It's a nice colour, Majestic Blue. A good dark blue. A very dark sapphire, if you like. But give me Twilight. That is just glorious. Now, just as an example, for some people who kept asking, what about feathering and bleed through and all the other problems? I don't know if you can see that, but there is absolutely nothing at all. And I left that page blank just so it could demonstrate. Now, okay, it's a page which has got lots of yellows and oranges and reds. However, let's take the example here. Two really deep, intense colours, and there is no bleed through, nothing whatsoever. The pages are absolutely pristine. Right, then we're on to the yellows and oranges. Diamine yellow, very nice. If you watch the video, you'll know that as I wrote with it, I couldn't see the letters forming. So when the ink was wet, I was writing with invisible ink in effect. It's darkened nicely to this colour, which is a very bright, delightful yellow. However, for me, sunshine yellow makes much more sense. It's more of an orange, but at least I can see it when I'm writing and when I've finished writing. Sunset, it's okay. It's nice red colour, but it's nothing to set the world on fire, really. Diamine orange. Yep, it's orange. Autumn oak, I think, is rather lovely. It is very different, but gorgeous colour. And similarly, Ancient Copper, which is one of the newer colours from Diamine, I think. But that's just a lovely colour. Really goes down well. Very good shading. And it's one that I would say would be good enough for business use. Blaze Orange, really nice. Very good outlining on there. Ochre, nice. Yep. Sepia, nice. Raw Sienna. Burnt Sienna. Diamine Golden Brown I really liked. I bought Saddle Brown, I bought Rustic Brown. None of the browns really appealed to me. Waterman's Havana, or Havan, I think is one of my favourite browns. The Diamine browns just don't quite do it, apart from Golden Brown, which I did love. So greens, Diamine Light Green, Diamine Meadow, Apple Glory, really pops off the page. Very, very sort of... And then there's the Soft Mint, which I think is a very appealing colour. I like that. I do like my greens. Woodland Green is, I would say, if you're a watercolourist, that's getting much more towards Viridian. Emerald is a sort of, not what I would have called emerald at all. It's much more of a pastel shaded type of colour. It almost looks as though it's got chalk mixed with it, if you know what I mean. That sort of pastel. Diamine Kelly Green is quite appealing. It's a sort of darker shade of light green. But if you look at Meadow and then the Kelly Green, very difficult to see what the difference is between the two, to be honest. Kelly Green perhaps is slightly more green, less yellow. But the difference is so tiny, it's hard to say. In the same way, we've got Jade Green and Light Green. Now, Jade green, I guess, is slightly more pale. But again, the difference is so fine, it's difficult to tell. Ultra green, yeah, right, okay. Ultra green, Delamere green, Sherwood green. Well, it's a matter of, it takes your choice, really. Umber, quite a nice colour, I like that. I don't know why I like it, but I do. It's just one of those colours that quite appeals. Okay, then we have Evergreen. Yeah, it's a green, okay. Salamander, now that I do quite like. Dark green, I don't. Bit too blue. And then we got these two, which caused a certain amount of humour when I was writing with them, because Diamine green black and deep dark green from Cult Pens and Diamine. If you can tell the difference between those two, you're a better man than I am. Rora and Klinger, lovely. Goldgrün, love that. And then we're on to the really boring colours. So we got grey, graphite, quartz black. Grey, yep, it's grey. Mont Blanc permanent grey is sort of grey. We've got jet black, which is black. We've got onyx, which is black. And we've got quartz black, which is, you guessed it, black. If you want something for work, any of these will do. But don't expect me to get excited about them. They're not exciting colours by the nature of them. Platinum Pen's carbon black, yep, it's black. Waterman's black is black. Iroshizuku Takesumi is very black. And you look at these on the camera, they all look a bit the same. But if you look at the comparison between that and that, you can see that looks more grey than this. This is a really intense, deep black. What more can you say about black? It's black. And then we come on to these three, which are interesting additions that were sent to me. Salzkreuznach Orchideen Violet is a beautiful colour. It really is. I have to admit, it is not the sort of colour I'm likely to use too much myself, so I might have to figure out what I can do with that. Noodler's Bay State Blue is definitely very, very blue. I would say it's actually a bit too bright for me. It's a little bit on the garish side, which I find harder on the eyes. But what I do love with these last three is this one, Diamine Midnight. And if you remember back to the lovely colour of Twilight that was sent to me from Peter Kasha, and I think that this and that are remarkably similar. The only difference is this has no sheening, whereas the colour from Peter Kasha has. So out of all this lot, which do I really, really like? Well, I'm afraid I've got no interest in the greys and blacks, even though I bought two of the damn things. I do like Diamine's green black. I really like that. Rora and Klinger's Goldgrün is actually one of my standard go-to inks now. I think that is just a glorious colour. As for the rest of the greens, yes, I like most of them, but you know, it's like jade green. That's a really nice colour, but would I use it a lot? Nah. Whereas light green, now I've bought Meadow, I've bought Kelly green, I've bought Diamine Emerald. I've got them in big pots. But for my money, the light green is much more pleasant. I really, really like that. That's a lovely colour. On the browns, well, I think Diamine Golden Brown probably does it for me better than any of the others. Again, I've bought the Flaming Saddle Brown. I've bought Chocolate Brown. I've got them in large pots. But do they really do it for me? No, they don't. I do like that sepia. That's really rather nice. And of course, Autumn Oak, which I just think is glorious. I really like that. Yellow and Sunshine Yellow, I'd go for Sunshine. I wouldn't go for the oranges. I'm just not really an orange person. If Peter Kasha was to make more Dartmoor Twilight, I'd be first in the queue. Just look at the sheen on that. It's absolutely magnificent. Wonderful ink. Out of the reds, I have always said that Diamine Syrah, or Syrah, is one of my favourite reds. But I've also got several pots of Diamine Oxblood, especially as a medieval murderer. I like the idea of Oxblood, but I think Red Dragon actually wins over on both of them. I really, really love that Red Dragon. I think on this page I'll probably go with Monaco Red. I think it's really good colour, really nice shading. I think out of the purples, however, I'd probably go for something more like the Amethyst. I've used that a few times now for writing, and it does just look lovely on the page. When it comes to the blues and the teals, well, the teals, it has to be Israel Zerblau, I think. The bluish tinge compared to the greenish tinge that you get with Diamine's teal, that just appeals to me so much more. It's good for using at work. You can use it pretty much anywhere. I love that colour. These colours, let's see, Presidential I like. The Imperial, the Sapphire, they're just a bit too garish for me. If it was something special, I would like probably Aqua Lagoon and Mediterranean, the two favourites. So there you have it. A strange mixture of different colours. Absolutely unique, all of them, apart from the ones that aren't. So there you go. A whole bunch of different inks. And hopefully that has been useful and moderately interesting. There's still a few more inks that I've got to go through. I've got some, well, they're the ones that I would call the Larry inks. They are really bright pinks, and there's really garish sort of peach colours, and there's all sorts of different types of ink, including highlighter pen inks. But hello, dog. But I'm not going to go through that immediately because it's going to take me a little bit of time to work out the best way to film them. Now my daughter director's gone back to university, so I'll get on with them as soon as I possibly can. In the meantime, if you'd like to, down at the bottom there's a link where you can go onto my Patreon site. I'm tending to give up on Twitter and Facebook because by going to Patreon, I can put photos, videos, blog posts and everything else at the same time. You don't have to pay. Quite a few of the things I'm putting up are free of charge, but it just means I can centralise my efforts in the one main site rather than having to learn a whole bunch of different sites. So go down to Patreon if you'd like to see other things from me, and also if you'd like to support the channel. And apart from that, go to the bottom, there's a place where you can put comments, you can say which are your... Sorry, I'm making a fuss of the dog here. She's just come up and decided to demand a fuss. Hello, little dog. So you can go and put comments in, you can tell me which are your favourite inks, discuss other inks that you think I ought to be looking at. Hit the subscribe, hit the bell button if you want to be notified about next videos coming up. Do the sharing and liking and all the rest of it. Please go through to the end of the video and like it, because that makes a difference to my income. And apart from that, I'm going to go and make myself a cup of tea now. Thanks very much for watching. See you soon. Take care.